观众朋友，大家好，欢迎收看本期的最佳方案。上期节目中我们邀请了优地牙医连锁的运营总监George Inex 为我们介绍了老年人常见的牙齿疾病，包括牙周炎、牙根腐烂，还有掉牙等等。有些老年人在面对这些头疼的牙齿疾病的时候呢，干脆把牙齿全部拔掉，做了一个全口假牙。这样看起来好像牙齿也很漂亮，咀嚼上呢也不像过去那么担心了。那么专家对此到底是什么看法呢？我们来听听 George Inex 是怎么说的。
Well, they certainly, I guess, is better than no teeth, but the worst of the three is the full denture. And the fact that there are many other treatment options that you just mentioned, and the fact that seniors are keeping their teeth longer, at least some of them, the need for full dentures is less and less a viable option for the patient. Full dentures are a nightmare. It's a piece of plastic that covers your palate. It certainly does not make eating enjoyable. It affects taste. Speaking is not the same. The lower denture in particular, with the floor of the mouth and the tongue moving, it's almost like a rowboat on the ocean. It bops up and down. I have many patients told me when they're at a restaurant, of course they'll suffer through their meal. It's not as enjoyable with the dentures. At home, they'll take out the dentures and they'll eat without them. It's just more comfortable for them. Dentures harbor bacteria. If I look under microscopically, they're porous, and those pores of the denture could be embedded with candidiasis. It's a fungal infection. It's yeast, a white type of infection. The next step is the partial denture. Someone has teeth. Partial denture hooks onto your teeth. You snap it in more or less and snap it out when you're done with it. It certainly is a confidence builder. The patient realizes the dentures are not going to fly out when they laugh in someone's face. So it snaps on, it's more stable, it makes eating more enjoyable to say the least. There are some problems though with partial dentures. That stomatitis that I mentioned also applies to partial dentures. People get lazy, they leave them in at night, they're comfortable with them, which is great, I guess. So, stomatitis sets in. Partial dentures also are a trap. I find them a tremendous trap for food and plaque. They protect it, actually. That's less of an issue in an unsupported denture where there are no teeth. I mean, there's no teeth to decay, but in a partial denture, you want to keep the few teeth that are left. And someone with a partial denture. And partial dentures don't help with that at all. Implants versus natural teeth, okay, as we go down this implant path. Certainly, keep natural teeth as long as possible. If you could save a tooth, save the tooth. Just don't pull out a tooth that could be saved because you don't want to put a crown on or something like that and get an implant. Implant is a surgical procedure. It's a foreign object. It's a medical device being placed in the mouth. They are safe. I'm not here to scare people, but you need to be physically healthy and you need to not smoke and have bad habits. You have to have all your if you have chronic disease like diabetes, it needs to be all under control. So there are issues with implants. With that said, implants have really changed the game of dentistry. Nowadays, there's mini implants, which, of course, I was trained the bigger, the wider, the longer the implant, the bigger the anchor for the crowns or the bridges that it's going to support or the dentures. But not everybody has that advantage. They don't have enough bone. So now they have mini implants, which only go just a few millimeters below the gum line. Most people do have that. Things with mini implants, you'll need that many more, though, to support the denture. You can get away with 2 big implants, for example, down here in the canine area, the eye tooth area, to support a whole denture. But I have solid bone here. If you don't have such solid bone, you may need implants all around. 10, 12 even implants to support a denture. It's possible, and it's done. There are also other more extensive procedures that can be done. Bone grafting. You could add bone to atrophied bone and replace bone that once was there. These are procedures, these are surgical procedures. They don't necessarily all take all the time, but they are successful overall. So you could add bone back and then put a regular standard implant in.
在采访中George Inex 一直强调，我们要最大限度保持自己的牙齿，植牙是万不得已的选择。老年人口腔疾病中还有一个很普遍的现象那就是口干。口腔干燥确实给很多老年人生活带来了很多的苦恼。
because the reason for that, it's definitely more prominent now than it was. It's one of healthcare's greatest growing problems. It really is. And I'm not exaggerating anything. About 25% of the seniors suffer from dry mouth. There's really no test or study. I could do salivary tests and measure saliva flow. It's not really done that often because usually you just go by the patient, what they tell you, their complaints, their subjective feelings. Doctor, I have trouble chewing food. Food gets stuck everywhere. Doctor, my tongue gets stuck when I'm speaking to the roof of my mouth. My mouth feels like sand. My mouth burns. Things of that nature. And you kind of put two and two together. Of course, when you look in the mouth, there are clinical findings that support what they're telling you. You could see mucosa, or the tongue that's very cracked almost, dry. Fungus infections appear. I mentioned the candidiasis. You'll see it literally in white patches in the mouth. "90% of all cases of dry mouth are caused by medications. And many, many medications do cause this problem. Many common medications cause it. And nowadays, especially in seniors, and we're living longer, we have multiple chronic diseases. They're taking multiple medications. I'm thinking of some of my relatives. Some of them take as much as 10 medications a day. That is not crazy any longer. People take even more than that, and they all complain about dry mouth to some extent or another. It's a proven correlation. The more medications you take, the more severe your dry mouth will be. And the medications are common. High blood pressure pills, water pills, again for high blood pressure, anti-cholesterol pills. Now that we're in hay fever season, in this part of the country at least, all those type of medications, antihistamines, decongestants, asthma medications. If it's drying my nasal passages, believe me, it's drying my mouth as well. Antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, and a lot of seniors it's not talked about much, are on these type of medications as well. So all of these medications, and there are many, many more, dry the mouth. I do want to also talk about other things that dry the mouth that we could prevent as well. Certain foods dry the mouth. Salty foods. I've eaten food that's extra salty and I'm thirsty after that. Caffeine. I drank too much coffee one day and I'm thirsty because of it. And alcohol. I mean, I've had 1 or 2 nights. Next day I wake up and I'm thirsty because of the indulgence in the alcohol. Of course, there's smoking, nothing good from smoking. Nothing at all. Zero. It's the worst habit possible. Of course, smoking can dry mouths. So there's many reasons for dry mouths. Medication is by far the farthest. It goes back to the importance of saliva. Yeah, you don't have that saliva. You don't have the saliva. Saliva is very important. I mentioned, of course, it's watery. It's an aqueous solution, so it neutralizes that plaque acid. People with dry mouth tend to have more plaque to begin with. They're not comfortable eating. It goes back to that, so they eat softer foods. Someone with dry mouth cannot. The mouth is a whole complex environment. Someone with dry mouth cannot chew food properly to get it to a soft ball, almost a bolus we call it, to swallow properly. They can't swallow properly because the mouth is so dry. So everything is out of sync. So they're going to eat softer foods because it's just easy to swallow. That's going to feed the plaque. They'll have more plaque, and you'll have the less saliva to counteract the plaque, which is very critical. So you'll have less of that watery, aqueous nature of saliva to dilute the acid. You'll have less of those minerals to recalcify the teeth, remineralize the teeth. And you'll have less of the buffering effect of the saliva to counteract the acid with more alkaline solution. And I do have something to say to all the seniors of the world. What to do if you have dry mouth? I mentioned smoking. Obviously, no. Limit things that dry the mouth, the caffeines and the alcohols and the salty foods. Constantly hydrate your mouth. Constantly drink water. Sip water throughout the day. Avoid products that may burn the mouth even further, spicy foods, acidic foods, citruses, tomatoes, things of that nature. Avoid those things. They do sell saliva substitutes out there, and they do sell some very good products that are designed for dry mouth sufferers that you can get over the counter. Very, very effective. And if possible, going back to medications, if you can switch, there's many medications out there. If you could switch, play with dosages of medications, switch medications to make ones that are known not to cause dry mouth. So there are quite a few things you could do. Rinsing out with baking soda and water. Again, that's basic again, so that'll substitute the saliva, the alkalinity to neutralize the acid. There's many, many tricks. I could summarize them. The list is quite long, so that'll help. There may be a little inconvenience, but that'll certainly will help and help prevent tooth decay as well. Good habits start very, very early in life. It's never too late to learn good habits. The goal is to keep your teeth, even the best made artificial tooth, whether it's in the form of a denture, whether it's in the form of a crown, whether it's in the form of a bridge, whether it's attached to an implant, does not replace what Mother Nature gave you. Plain and simple as that. So your goal is to keep your teeth as long as possible, as many as you keep, because that'll improve your quality of life later on in years. As we age, there's less and less things to enjoy, and a good meal and a beautiful smile are two important things.
采访教职呢很是愉快，它能在轻松愉快的氛围中呢，让你学到很多有用的牙齿保护知识，真的很棒。感谢教职，感谢他给我们带来这么多有用的牙齿保护知识。好，本期节目就到这里了，我们下期节目再见。